Hello everyone, it's me, Mary, and welcome back to my channel. Can you believe it? It's still January and I'm uploading a second video. I know, I did promise I was going to be a little bit more consistent, but it's hard to break some habits, so be patient with me. I'm trying to upload, as I said, 2 to 3 videos a month, and so here's the second video. So what you're about to see are some recipes of desserts I made for New Year's. The first was a cheesecake that I wanted to make. It's the first time I made a cheesecake, and truly I've been wanting to make a cheesecake for years. So I just looked for a recipe. I'll be putting the recipes down in the comments below, the links to them, though the video and the page for the recipe are gonna be in Spanish, but I kind of walked you through the process anyways. Remember to like, subscribe, share, and comment, please. Okay, so let's make this cheesecake. First off, you're gonna need 140 grams of any type of cracker. Usually people use graham crackers, but I didn't really have with me. So I'm just using a popular brand here in Mexico, which is called Galletas Marias. And so first you're gonna try and pulverize it or turn the cookies into a fine powder. Usually people use a food processor, but as you can see here right now, my food processor was broken, so I really couldn't use it. And so I decided to use a blender. Also, you can do this by hand by putting the cookies in a Ziploc bag and using a rolling pin or something carding up so that you can break them until it's a fine powder. But I decided to use a blender, as you can see, though it does involve a little bit more of work because it doesn't really crush the cookies as a food processor would. And so as you can see, the blender is only crushing the cookies kind of like in the bottom. And so I decided to use the help of a spoon so that I could move everything around and try and get to all of the cookies so that I can get the finest powder. Important, for this recipe and the cookie base, we're going to have to preheat our oven. So our oven needs to be preheated at 200 degrees Celsius or 392 degrees Fahrenheit for when we need to bake. And so, once you're finished blending or crushing your cookies, you're going to use 80 grams of unsalted melted butter, as you can see right now, and you're going to keep on mixing it so that you can make what's called a crumb base. And this is going to make it a little bit kind of like wet, but also consistent enough that you can use it as a base for your cheesecake. So what you're gonna kind of watch me do right now is something that you should do before everything else you start. First off, you need your pan, which should be a springform pan because that's the type of pan that you need when you're making a cheesecake. And then get some wax paper, and as you see, trace the bottom of the pan, and then I just folded it in half and then again in half, and then I just cut the circle so that I can have a piece of wax paper that fits perfectly in the bottom of the pan. And so when the wax paper is down, you are just going to start pouring your mixture into the bottom of the pan, and later we're going to push it down so that we can make a fine and even base. Now we're going to even out our base. As you can see, I'm just using a simple glass to put a little bit of pressure on the base and try and even it out as best possible. That glass wasn't really working, so I decided to choose another one. And so once you even out your base, you can now proceed to put it into your oven. As I said before, the oven should be heated right now to 200 degrees Celsius or 392 degrees Fahrenheit. So now we're going to be doing the filling, and as you can see, I am going to be using a stand mixer, but if you don't have a stand mixer, you can use a hand mixer or even a whisk, but it might involve a little bit more of an effort. Very important, we need to have our ingredients at room temperature, so try and have everything outside of the refrigerator at least 30 minutes. To our bowl, we're gonna add 1 kilogram of cream cheese. This is just Philadelphia cream cheese, and I actually didn't add 1 kilogram, I only had 900 grams, but it didn't really make a difference. Then I added 20 grams of flour and 6 grams of salt. And after that, we just started mixing. We're gonna keep on mixing till we get a creamy texture before we add the rest of the ingredients. Remember to scrape your bowl, it's very important so that everything mixes well. Also, please don't be me and actually use the bowls that comes with your mixer, because I didn't, and that made it a little bit dangerous. Now we're gonna add the next ingredients, which are 200 grams of sugar. Then we're gonna add 200 grams of sour cream, And then we're gonna add 1 teaspoon of vanilla extract and continue mixing for around 3 minutes. Important, before you start your mixture, remember to preheat your oven to 150 degrees Celsius or 302 degrees Fahrenheit. We're going to be baking our cheesecake later. Remember to scrape your bowl and your paddle so that everything mixes perfectly. Once everything is done mixing, we're going to add the last ingredient of this recipe, which are the eggs. For this recipe, we're going to be using 3 eggs at room temperature, and the idea of it is to be putting one by one. So what I did was actually put all the 3 eggs in a bowl, and that made it harder to put them individually, so I recommend you either separate them in 3 different bowls or just crack them in the moment. Around now, your base should be done or should be already cooling. As you can see, I am just trying to kind of show you how it turned out. And yeah, you're gonna put that aside and make sure that it's cooled down while you continue on doing your mixture. Once you're done mixing, you have your filling ready. Remember to scrape your paddle and to scrape your bowl because you're trying to use every last drop of the mixture. Remember to leave some room because now we're going to be pouring our filling into the pan. Simply pour it and then scrape your bowl. Remember, you're trying to get all of the delicious cheesecake filling that we just made. Once you're done pouring all of your mixture into the pan, you're going to be using a spatula or a spoon to try and even everything out. I also recommend to tap your pan into a counter to help achieve this. Now we're going to put our cheesecake into the oven. Remember that it should be at 150 degrees Celsius or 302 degrees Fahrenheit. Bake it for 70 minutes, turn the oven off, let it cool for 1 hour in there, and then refrigerate it for at least 6 hours. Let's start this recipe. It is very simple and it only uses 4 ingredients, but I find it very peculiar. It's called lemon dessert with Maria cookies. Just that. It's very weird for me, but okay. And so you start with 6 lemons or limes, however you want to call it. I don't really care. I call them lemons because we call it limones in Spanish. You'll have occasional glimpses of my little baby dog in the corner and it's gonna be adorable. And as you can see, I'm just squeezing out the lemon juice out of every single half of the lemons and just putting it in a simple bowl. So once you're done squeezing all of your lemons, you'll just need to get all of the seeds out. As you had seen before, I was trying to get them out with a knife, but it wasn't working, so I just used a strainer that I have. Remember to find a strainer that has small holes so that the seeds don't actually just go through, and I just poured it into another simple bowl that I found. Next, you're gonna get yourself a bigger bowl so that you can pour everything on there. So that's condensed milk and then evaporated milk. So I just poured the evaporated milk because it was the can that I could open by myself. The condensed milk, I had to ask my mom to help me open it.
Mamá, ¿cómo abro una lata?
Once you can open your can or somebody else helps you out, you're just gonna pour all of your condensed milk to your evaporated milk. The order really doesn't matter. So in these cans, there's around 400 grams each. The idea is to try to make it as equal parts as possible. If it's not exact, it's okay, it's not the end of the world, but 400 grams for each, or around 400 grams, it's a very good amount for a decent serving. Next, get yourself a whisk and just start mixing. So I don't recommend using a stand mix or a hand mix because you can overbeat this recipe. So just use a whisk and simply mix. Then you're gonna add the juice of your 6 lemons, and as you can see, that helps the consistency to be a lot less liquidy, and that's what we're trying to get. So you're just gonna start mixing until you think that the juice of the lemons has incorporated properly with the milks. And just as you can see, you can just try it with your fingers. Once you're done mixing, just grab some type of bowl or plate to put your mixture into. So what I got is a kind of like glass bowl. We call it refractario, but I'm not entirely sure how to say that in English. So as you can see, you just start pouring your mixture and you don't pour everything out. You just pour a little bit of a layer and then just keep adding your cookies. So those are around 200 grams of cookies, but I didn't actually use that many cookies. So you're just gonna layer them, and if you need to cut some of them to be able to fit on the sides of the little bowl, just do it. I did that and it works perfectly fine. But this is a kind of like layered dessert, so that's the idea. So you do a layer of the mixture and a layer of cookies, layer of mixture, layer of cookies. And as you can see, I am actually using the whisk to push the cookies down because they started to float up. This dessert can go in the freezer or refrigerator, but if you put it in the freezer, it will actually make it a little bit harder to cut and sometimes to eat. So I recommend the refrigerator and just leave it a little longer, so prepare with time. This dessert was made for my mom for New Year, so I asked her how she wanted the dessert, and she said she wanted a final layer of cookies, and she actually liked the dessert so much that, as you can see, she's actually licking the bowl, and she just straight up like got a cookie and then eat and then just took the bowl with her. So yeah, she actually really liked it. And then you're done. Put a lid and to the freezer or refrigerator.
So cheers to me actually uploading a second video on the month, keeping my promise for 2 to 3 videos a month. I am a little bit brain dead right now, so here I am uploading it and bringing you some content. If you have any ideas, propositions, comments of something, they are welcome. I'll maybe do a hair routine later because I was asked about it. Also, if you have ideas that I can do so that I can upload another video soon. I do have a limited amount of things I can do. Quarantine limits it, but if you have any ideas, let me know and I'll try some things here and there. I also have the money limitation, so take that in mind. Anyways, if you have anything that you want to see, do let me know because I love taking your guys' suggestions. See you guys in the next video. Bye bye!